Diddy has been denied his bail appeal, and if it all goes the way many of us think it'll go, he may never walk free again. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore with It's Kim and John Witherspoon, attorney at law. Thank you guys for being here and breaking down what we just watched. Look, this court hearings in these criminal cases in New York aren't televised, so we had to watch it through live tweeting, and thank you to Inner City Press. Go give him a follow on Twitter. He did a great job. And I wanted it. We watched the whole thing. We broke the news of this verdict, which is a big deal, that he is likely, if he loses this case, he may never be a free man again, as John broke down. But for this recap, I really wanted to give you a summary of what actually happened here in this chat, because there were some very disturbing revelations, as well as some serious gaslighting and a victim blaming, attempting to spin the video that we all saw of Cassie and Diddy as if she wanted it, as if she asked for it, as if it was all okay. And I thought it was really important to summarize that as we recap today's big stream, because a lot of you are watching, and a lot of you may watch this case. We got to remember this, because this is what this case is about. So before we get to the Casey part, let's just go real quick here to summarize sort of what was happening. All rise. This was a second judge. This is the judge that will actually be on the case. Literally, all rise, government, and the government went straight in. The freak-offs were elaborate. They didn't even back down. They began in 2009 and extended into this year. These freak-offs were arranged with his entourage. The defendant used substances so that the victims could continue. We don't have to say what those were. The defendant would record these freak-offs, at least in part, to use them to blackmail. We have an email. A victim says, "You were going to make me," I'm not going to say it on the public record, or "you were going to leak some FOS, freak-off S." A different victim wrote, he said, "He was going to expose me with the tape. I was substanced." That's just two examples. And so it's rich when the defendant, the submission filed today trying to get this bail, accused the victim of extorting. He's the only extorter. I mean, damning response to prove, yeah, he was the one constantly extorting. And so Cassie at some point may have said, "I'm writing a book. What do you want me to do about it?" It's kind of hard to be madder at that point if it did indeed happen. But his lawyer was trying to throw that in her face. We seized 6 weapons, as we heard about that, defaced numbers and stuff in the defendant's closet. This is not about security, but dangerousness. This security team is the same one that would monitor him. So in the attempt to get the bail, Diddy's team's like, "Well, I'm going to bring more security in, and judge, we won't let girls in. They'll tell you everything that happens." And I love that the government lawyers are like, "Nice try." These are the same security members that allowed defaced serial number weapons that Diddy claimed weren't his. He said they were theirs. This moron can't even keep track of all his accomplices and all the shenanigans they're doing. Now, they talked about the head of securities and all this stuff, and how there was a freak-off in March 5th, 2016. This is key, because this is when the Cassie video had. We have evidence that there was one commercial ex-worker there in the room during that. I can't say the word to Cassie. She isn't even wearing shoes. She's in danger. Defendant storms out in a towel. We have a message from the victim. "I still have crazy marks." He claims he wanted to get his clothes back, but that's not what happened to her. She tried to escape a room with the defendant and the commercial ex-worker. She fled without her shoes. I'm just trying not to put this on screen because I want to make sure it can all get through the thing here, because this is important, guys. Immediately after that incident, which was very not good, I got careful. I hate that I can't use the words, but I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. The defendant sent these messages: "Call me. The cops are here. I got 6 kids. Yo, please call me. I am surrounded. You gonna abandon me all alone?" The defendant knew he had done something that could elicit a police response. He covered up what he did. This year, after the surveillance video came out, only then did he admit that was him. Yesterday, it was claimed that his clothes were taken, but that's not what happened. Why drag the victim back down the whole hall of the room? Amen. So Diddy had been lying in his pieces again, still trying to blame her, and we're going to get to what his excuses were. But there, the indisputable evidence makes it clear you cannot take the defendant for his word. March 5th is far from the defendant's lone act of obstruction, and that word, freak-off activity, is the core to this case that literally has to make so many such celebrities in Hollywood and in this industry shudder. Freak-off activity is the core of this case. They used force, coercion, and substances. Our investigation is ongoing. 6 Escorts is just the tip of the iceberg of the number who have participated in these freak-offs. This case is charged again, you can read it there. Their acts were not consensual. So look, they're killing it. They're mentioning more. I can't even say some of these things they're saying. There are text messages detailing, I'm not a rag doll, I'm someone's child. It is heartbreaking to read this stuff here. They continue. They then get to reiterate that the judge from the previous attempt denied it, did not believe the defense counsel can control the defendant. They've directly contacted victims. They went into how he's already starting to harass and bother them and shared more of those examples. Guys, this is horrifying stuff. The judge then says 13 contacts with 2 people, 14 with the defendant and the witness. He outreached to a witness he had not been in contact with several years. He recorded the conversation on the other end. He twice called a victim in 2023. He received a text from another person in response. He was out there really trying to get these people to change the story and figure out what was known. It continues to the point where the judge literally at one point, I'm trying to get there, anything else, a few more things. How many? The judge got the vibe here, and it senses we were right. Judge was like, you're good. You got enough. I'm worried. Let's move on. So they moved on to the other side of the case as we're getting through this. Combs' attorney stepped up, and judging by this transcript, didn't really get a lot of opportunities because there's not much to say, but tried to justify it here by saying, well, there's going to be the security team, and they're great. They're the SAGE intelligence personnel, and there'll be a visitor log. Only pre-approved people can come in. We'll give the list to the court. He'll have no cell phone access. We'll do what we have to do. Even there, I don't believe that Mr. Combs' actions in coming to New York are only about the risk of flight. It shows he's deeply respectful to the court's authority. He is responsible. He's responsible, all right. And that's when it continued. They tried to explain the passports again, and then immediately the judge was done. Can you get to the point? It shows he's trustworthy. He's not a defendant who says, come find me, like literally brings up Jeffy and Ghislaine, like, you're struggling. When you bring in some of the worst criminals I can think of, you don't want your case to be in the related videos as them, but Diddy's own lawyer brought it in. How does that relate to the danger and obstruction? If he was aware in April, why is he contacting witnesses? The judge isn't having it. Woman contacted him because it was subpoena. They're trying to defend it. He then goes on, well, he had a whole case in 1999. He came to court every day. So he's good, Your Honor. Let's get though. It continues. The video is troubling. The judge says he was 40-something years old. Judge is even trying to say, look, it's not like he was some kid. This was a grown man, and that video is troubling. Here was the response. He realized he has a problem with drug addiction and anger. He went into rehab for a period of time. He left. He was done. The woman in the video also went into rehab around the same time. I mean, how does that have anything to do with this? They loved each other. The written messages are heartbreaking. The sex and the violence were totally separate, Your Honor, motivated by separate things. The way they chose to be intimate, they would bring a person on. They chose that. At that point, the judge had enough. What does that have to do with him? I can't even say the words. The activities that he did in that video, you guys know exactly what was in that video. And exactly, round of applause.
Glorious.
This judge.
Glorious.
Who wasn't having it. Nice try spinning. I know he's your client, but it doesn't work that way. What does that have to do with and detailed what happened in that video? What's love got to do with that? Which was just what a mic drop, dropping in some Tina Turner, Ike Turner lore there as well. His response, well, that was jealousy from infidelity in both directions. Mr. Combs and this other person, her name's Cassie. That was what it was. That's where the actions came from. Judge, what's your point? At this point, and you say you invited a third person. If that person is commercial ex-worker, then they travel across the state lines. Isn't that a problem? I've spoken with the agency. They say they're not paid for that activity, but if they feel like doing it, oh my God, they were grasping at straws.
It just kept getting worse.
They were grasping at straws. They went back to the video. They explained how bad that video was, how it was very relevant to dangerousness. The response is, well, that's not being stuck in all the cars. That was the only sort of response they could have. which was incredibly frustrating. Even if you don't trust him, trust the bond package, $50 million bond, no internet. That will give the court comfort. He is not a flight risk. My argument to that is nonsense, because 50 million is nothing. He paid off 30 million to Cassie to let it go away. If he's a billionaire, 50 million is nothing. To just lose a home that he doesn't have to then go figure out a sale to, which is probably overpriced to begin with, to go use that as the way to like, see ya. It is incredibly a flight risk. So we heard from the parties. I find the government has proven the defendant is a danger regarding the bail package. It is sufficient enough, even a flight of risk. That's where things ended. At the end of the day, it looks like Diddy is staying in jail, and if he loses his case, which it sure looks like he's going to do, he may never see the light of day. Kim, how are you feeling about this? And were you happy to see the judge push back the way they did?
So happy to see the judge push back the way that they did. It's my understanding that this judge is going to be the one overseeing this case, and that gives me a lot of comfort. It gives me a lot of peace in that regard, because it sounds like this judge was not going to take any junk from anybody. They were going to take any crap, and I'm so happy to hear that. So I think this trial is going to be very interesting. We'll see where it goes, but it is certainly not looking good for Mr. Combs, in my opinion.
John, you've talked about it in the other live. You guys can go watch it, but like, obviously it's not good. You've said that, but what should we expect? What's going to happen next? What's the timeline here, you think, based on what we saw? How long do you think he's going to be in there before we even get to a trial?
Well, it conceivably could be as long as 6 months, I would think. There's probably going to be, I mean, as we know from yesterday, the grand jury apparently had subpoenaed 300 people. It's a lot of witnesses. As we talked about before, also, the U.S. attorney put a telephone number out there yesterday. There could be a lot of phone calls incoming with people saying, hey, I've got something to say. I know something, whatever. It'll take a while to sort through that. It's going to be very interesting, as Kim said, as far as the legal proceedings are concerned. The other thing that's going to be absolutely fascinating to see how it unfolds is the larger reaction to this. We're going to see, presumably in this case, everything that we would have seen in the Epstein case, except that case obviously never happened because
we might finally get some justice for some of these people, and maybe not the same people, but that's a good point. There is a press conference happening right now. We're going to go to that in a second, but I want to trim here. We'll add it in if it was relevant. If it wasn't, it's just going to be his lawyer trying to spin it some further. I wanted to make sure I got this in, though. Subscribe. A lot of you guys have been in there, hitting the button, hit that bell for all alerts, get the notifications so you can get the breaking news. We try our best. We work our butts off to give you that and get you the updates. So make sure you're part of our squad. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're supporting It's Kim right there on YouTube, as well as John Witherspoon. He's on Instagram. You can find him there. So grateful this panel and all of you guys who've been watching. We will keep you posted on our recaps as this presents, and we'll other updates as they come about.